I would love to repeat that's been ingrained in my mind. And I agree with you, but I'd love for you to elaborate more on the fact that you stated that you never let your gender define you. And if you did, you would be dead in the water. And I think it's important to know that you have always been pretty much the only woman in most of your work experiences.
Yes, so when I started my career, I was a corporate tax lawyer in the mergers and acquisition structuring practice at Arthur Andersen in Houston. Yes, that Arthur Andersen, we did work on the Enron and Dynegy transactions. And when I started, I was the only female in my group. And for the first 6 months, every day, the guys would get up and go to lunch together, and they wouldn't invite me to lunch. So I'd go find some friends down the hall to go to lunch with. And what I found was so interesting is that the women always wanted to say to me, "Aren't you mad that they're not inviting you because you're a girl?" And I used to respond, A, I'm not mad. B, I don't know why they're not inviting me, but my gut says it's because they don't know me. I'm not their friend. I'm new. I haven't built rapport with them. And so I chose not to make it an issue. I also chose, in my education, my father's an engineer, and I'm the firstborn child. And I was going to be really good at math. That's my dad's deal, right? So nobody ever told me that I wasn't going to be good at math. So I am really good at math. And so I chose, again, not to make it an issue. And after 6 months, they invited me to lunch. And I started going to lunch. You know what they told me? They said, "We just wanted to see if you could do the work." Wow. That was the biggest gift I think I've had in my career, because at that very early 6 months, I see a lot of head nods, which is awesome out there. At that very early 6 months in my career, I realized my gender does not matter. And from that minute on, I never made it an issue or a challenge or a situation. And quite the opposite, I've used it really to my advantage in many circumstances, because I am the only female in the room in many of the things. I used to be the vice chair of an American Bar Association committee. It was the Energy and Environmental Taxes Committee. And I by far was the only woman in that room. I was one of the youngest people in the room. And again, you know, when you walk in and you look different than everybody in there, you do get more attention. So I've used it to my advantage. I think one thing that I want to share today, especially about the topic of this panel and how we can work together, is I think as women, we need to really be in reality check and help each other with the reality check about what the marketplace is like, okay? I find that we spend too much time debating what the problem is instead of banding together solving the problem. I spoke at Denver Startup Week. I was on a stage very similar to this, and it was about women raising funding. I do a lot of fundraising. And I got up on that stage and I said, you know what? In many situations when I'm going to raise funding for my clients, I bring 3 old white guys with me. And you could hear the gasp. You know, I thought people were gonna throw things at me. And for instance, today even I heard at one of the panels, somebody said something about it's annoying. I'm not wasting any energy attaching emotion to the situation. It is reality, okay? Until somebody takes the money away from the white and Arab men, I can't change that. There's nothing I can do about it. So me spending time, effort, and energy discussing it with people, debating it with people, and attaching emotion to it is a waste of my time, effort, and energy. I choose to invest that time, effort, and energy into the reality of the situation is the old white guys have the money. How can I get the money from them? And that's what I'm inviting us all to do today. It's to stop complaining about what the challenge is. It's reality. And nobody in here individually can change that. What we can do together is sit with those who have successfully gotten the money and said, what did you do? And I will tell you, I bring all white guys with me. Why? Because it lowers the risk for them, okay? One of my mentors told me I had been working on my own for like a month, and he said, you're a 65-year-old CEO trapped in you. And he goes, no matter what you say, they'll believe me more, because he's an old white guy with gray hair. Again, reality. I understood the reality, and I didn't make my gender an issue or a problem or a block. I supplement if I need to. At the end of the day, I get my funding. I don't care that there are 3 other men. It doesn't make me less good at what I do. Another thing that I want to invite us, that I hear all the time from women business owners who are trying to get funding. I've heard this many, many times. I sent an associate friend, I guess I would say, to go meet with the managing director of one of the largest venture capital groups in the country. She gets on the phone with me and she says, well, you know, he didn't get it because he's a guy. And I said, stop right there. I said, not only does he get it, he gets it very well. He's the managing director of one of the largest venture capital firms in the country. As women, we need to stop telling those lies to ourselves, okay? At the end of the day, investors want to invest in good business ideas that have good revenue models and a solid team and low risk. If you're not getting funding, it's because something's wrong with your business model. It's not because you're a female. People don't care whether you're black, white, man, woman, child, Barney the dinosaur, if you have a good business model. So the other thing I'm inviting us to do is to stop telling ourselves these lies and to really be in reality about the situation. Our gender does not matter. We do have a little hill to climb, so let's figure out how to climb that hill together. Let's figure out how to get the funding, and let's figure out how to work as a team so we can answer the questions when you're pitching for funding, okay? Usually you're gonna get some feedback. What I see men do, because I work with men and women, men take the feedback, they don't attach it to themselves emotionally, they don't make it personal. They go back to their offices, they fix whatever the problem is, they change up their slides, and they go back to the funder and they say, okay, I took your feedback and now I'm changing things. Women start talking about, oh, well, he didn't like me, or he didn't like my idea, or he doesn't want to invest in us because we're girls. Those things are not true. So I really, if everybody can take a takeaway from this panel, it's the reality of the situation is that old white guys have the money and run a lot of the businesses, and we have to work together to figure out how do we find our place there. I did it Lone Ranger style, and I got lucky, and now I have a good enough resume that gets me a seat at the table. But in the beginning, I just really did not attach, and I did not allow the media or my friends or anything to attach to why I wasn't being included in the club. And I think that we do a disservice to each other. And I mean, that's why I love the title of this panel. It talks about the media and queen bees and, mean girls and all that. That's what we're doing a disservice to each other by saying that there's something there that's not. So.
And Liz, you wanted to follow up?
Yes, if I may. So I'm